Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into this week's episode of the Ringing the Bell podcast. This week, we're bringing you a special guest in Belle's basketball head coach, Rob Hoffman. Rob, how are you?
Good, Taylor. How are you?
Good. So, you guys just finished up your season about a month ago.
Yep.
You guys had a great start to the year, and then a little bit of a rocky start getting into conference play. How did you feel about the season going overall?
Yeah, I thought there was progress made. I think that's the biggest thing. Started hot. I love that I can say that, right? And then like you said, it got rocky. I think it was a little bit of a roller coaster at times. But I think, and this is what I told the team, like it's progress, right?
Yeah.
I think from last year, before leading into next year, it's progress, right? Now you could always say you want one step faster, but it's progress in the end, right? I think that's what's most important. But the season just overall, there was another layer to the foundation we're trying to build, right? Which is just commitment to basketball, commitment to each other, playing hard, commitment to excellence. Like that's kind of our big thing, right? And I think we saw another step towards that. I think that's the big one. But we had a few really good wins, had some tough losses that came down to the last second, last possession, whatnot, which always sucks. But it's building in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think that's all I can ask for, and I think this team's done a really good job of just buying into that and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. Because we are going in the right direction, and I think this season proves there were some really good spots. There's areas that need to be improved upon, but players, parents, fans, everyone who sees us, they see it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the good part. That's what I like to hear. A couple injuries here and there, but every team has that, so I hate using that as an excuse.
Yeah.
I don't really like even saying it because every team in college sports across the nation has that issue, right? Injury here, injury there, but no, we're learning to play through that stuff. But like I said, it's progress. It really is progress, and I think they see it, players see it, fans see it, and I see it. So.
And you're only in your second season, and so you're dealing with your underclassmen are outnumbering your upperclassmen by almost double. And then, as you mentioned, the injuries and stuff, what has it been like transitioning into taking on a team that you just brought in your first recruiting class that you got to look at the girls? What has that transition been like for bringing them into your program now? Yeah,
it's been good. I think the older, the few upperclassmen we have, right? They've done a really good job of embracing what I want and what I envision and trying to mold it in some of their own. But then the freshmen have just done a good job of just absorbing everything I'm trying to say. I tell every recruit all the time, like, as a freshman, you're going to think you're on top of the world. And then next week you're like, holy crap, what am I doing? And that's every freshman in every sport. But I think the upperclassmen have done a good job of just kind of steadying that since they've been here, even before I got here, a few of them. But, the freshmen have come in wanting to play. And and the younger group, even the sophomores right now, right? And I'd throw even the twins in there. They've done a good job of raising the bar. Just that foundation of commitment and playing hard and playing for each other, right? Like they're still building on that aspect, but just the foundation of being committed, I don't know if I could ask for anything more. And I think that's what the freshmen have gave this team, and I really think it has set the standard. And it's been fun. It's been fun to see the younger group not really knowing who I am, right? Besides like the ones who've been recruited, like even before I got here, but they just come in with a fresh start, right? And now it's time to kind of mold that fresh start into a foundation, into this is how we do it, this is how we're going to do it, this is going to help us, here's why it's going to help us be better in just every aspect.
And so with your background in coaching, you come from a lot of success and a lot of hierarchy where you came from Trine. You also spent time as a graduate assistant at Florida State in the ACC. What have you learned from those schools and the coaches that you've been able to work for that you brought to St. Mary's and that you still want to implement? Yeah,
just I'm going to use that same word, commitment. You have to be committed, because if you're not committed, it's going to be hard. Like, it's not impossible, but it's going to be hard. I think that's one of the biggest things I've brought to here is just you've got to be committed to getting better on your own, right? Because in D3, we're not allowed to work with students student athletes outside the season.
Yeah.
So you have to be committed, because when you are committed, you'll see the wins, you'll see the growth, you'll see the improvements and the experience and all that in one. But you know, just of how the daily operations go too, from those two, like Florida State, big time ACC, right? Like, you know, almost the cream of the crop. But then even like at Trine University, where, you know, the standard of excellence is there, right? I've seen what excellence looks like.
Yeah.
You know, and trying to implement that here, and even just the smallest ways of, you know, like I have this like just one rule. I don't even know if it's a rule, but just hey, when we show up to weightlifting or walk through, like, you know, I want St. Mary's gear, right?
Yeah.
And that's just like, it's small. I think probably every college, you
Yeah.
know, athlete does something like that. But it just shows a level of committed excellence to St. Mary's, the athletic department, just this program, and just
Yeah.
everything we're doing, right? Because excellence requires detail,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's the one thing I took from both those schools. And, you know, just hard work, but every program across the country says hard work, right?
Yeah.
So it's just details of every little thing that matters on the floor, off the floor.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that everyone who's in our office knows that you are one of, just coming in, you're one of the biggest recruiters out of all of our coaches. It feels
Yeah.
like 365 days you're doing something recruiting wise.
Yeah.
What are you, outside of commitment, obviously, what are you telling recruits? What are you looking for when these girls are coming on visits or you're going to see them play?
gosh, that's a great question. You know, I think the first thing I look for is, do you fit the mold of St. Mary's,
Yeah.
right? In terms of, do you want a faith-based background? Do you want nursing? Do you want engineering? Do you want business? Because in my opinion, those are three of the bigger ones here at St. Mary's,
Yeah.
right? And then what is your play style on the floor? Like I tell, like recruits ask me that same question, like, what are you looking for in a recruit? And I think the number one thing is, what do you do best?
Yeah.
Like, what in the heck do you do best on the floor? And whatever that is, show me. Don't show me what you can't do, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're in basketball, if you're a shooter, shoot that freaking basketball, right? Just shoot the basketball. When you're open, shoot it. If you're really good at playing defense, get up on the ball, get over and help side, talk, right? Like if you're really good at, I don't know, communicating on the floor, be the loudest person on the floor.
Yeah.
Like show me what you do best. Don't prove to me what you can't do. But, you know, other than like X's and O's, what I'm looking for, I just want people who really play hard.
Yeah.
And not only play hard, but compete. Because I just told the team last night in a leadership, you know, people play hard and not know what they're doing sometimes, right? Like that happens, right? Like sometimes people play hard and it's just like, I'm just kind of out there running around.
Yeah.
But like when you're competing, you know, you're playing hard, you know what you're doing, you're executing, you're still making mistakes.
Yeah.
You're still making mistakes. But when you compete, you kind of encompass everything in the level of competition,
Yeah.
right? That's what I look for. Like, do you compete on the floor?
Yeah.
You know, and there's other parts where in recruiting, like attitude matters. Like I just, you know, I've seen kids before, like make two mistakes, make one mistake, and just get really frustrated. It's okay to
Yeah.
be frustrated, but when I see it over and over and over again, it's just like, man, like that those things kind of carry over. And you know, you
Yeah.
can help build those things and help kind of diminish those when you get to college, but those things become habits, right?
Yeah.
You know, so those are kind of the biggest ones I look for, honestly, when I go out recruiting. Because recruiting is the lifeline of college athletics, right?
Yeah.
You have to recruit in order to yourself to give a chance. And you have to go out and see people. You got to be constantly connecting. And like you said, it is 365 days a year.
Yeah.
I don't do it on Christmas. My wife would probably tell me, yeah, he does. But I promise I don't.
So it's 364.
Yeah, 364, right? You know, I'd probably send a text on my birthday. I probably would. So, but yeah, no, it is, you know, it is the lifeline of your program, right? And how you want it to be built, right? Like, because you sat here and said, you know, like you're shaping what you want. Well,
Yeah.
it starts with recruiting, right? Because I want those kids that fit the mold of competing, playing hard, you know, enthusiasm, passion. Because like, I want athletes to resemble how I look on the floor,
Yeah.
right? And I think passion, commitment, like those are two things. Energy level, those are things I do
Yeah.
every day in practice and recruiting. So if I get kids like myself, hopefully they're not exactly like myself because I am not perfect by any means of the imagination. But no, when I see stuff like that, like I'm like, you know what? They'll make us better, right? In one fashion or form, they make us better. So,
and as we mentioned earlier, with the schedule, there's a little bit of a stumble going into conference play, but that's always going to happen when you play in one of the tougher conferences in the Midwest for women's basketball. We had 2 teams in the NCAA tournament, but it also feels like every single night,
slugfest.
Anybody can beat anybody. Like we've seen teams that finished 6th or 7th in the bracket where they're beating the number 2 team in the bracket. Like it doesn't matter what happens each night. How do you go about preparing and coaching for games like that when you know that stepping into a game, no matter what, you have an opportunity to go home with a win?
Yeah. I think just to speak on the conference being tough, it is 4 teams in the top 75 in the net rankings. Yeah. Right. Like that's pretty good. And then 2 teams in the top 25. Right. And then I would say even after the top 4, there's nights where it's close. It's close with the top 2, the top 3, the top 4. So I think just the preparation every day of, knowing and making them believe in themselves, as in us, St. Mary's Belle's basketball, giving them the belief that they can is step 1, right? And preparing like you are going to win the game, no matter who it is. And I've used this word like 17 times, but just staying committed to the process, right? Like stay committed to, we will win, we will prepare like we're going to win, we're going to act like we're winners. And we do that, right, with the details in practice and off the floor and the way we talk, right? Like I will be the first one to say if we do these things, we have a shot. Yeah. Right? Like before the Calvin game here at home, we had a shot. And that's what I told them after in the locker room too. I said, you did those 3 things. We missed one, which I believe was the turnovers. We had probably 3 turnovers in the last 2 minutes. Yeah. Really kind of killed us. But we rebounded well. We defended well, right? We moved the ball. Like we did a lot of those check marks besides one. And I said, you know what? You gave yourself a shot against a really good team that's net ranking top 75, right? And that's just one example, right? But it's things like that where you have to get them to believe in themselves, right? Yeah. If you walk in with half doubt, you're already a half step behind, right? Yeah. And I think that's one of the better things I do in preparation is just motivate you to be ready to go. Yeah. Right, with the details, the X's and O's, but really is the mental game, right? Like show clips of the last game where there was success. Like, man, we hit this curl, we hit this screen. Look what happens when we hit this screen. We got a wide open shot against a really good team in our conference, right? Like show how we did it, show the little mistakes that we made. Like if we change this one thing, we're gonna give ourselves another shot. Yeah. But it's preparing for every team like that. I don't care if it's the bottom of our conference, the top of the conference, you prepare the same every single time, right? Now, I will say there are teams in this conference where I get really motivated for. I get motivated for everybody in the conference, and so there's no doubt about that. But there are teams where it's like I try and crank that dial, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I don't know. But that's just the passion and motivation I have, honestly. Yeah. But we prepare the same. It really is. I try and keep the same. Try and keep practice for those big games, no matter what game it is, the exact same with practice intensity and the details.
And it can be very tough for a student athlete where, early in the season we had a great game against Calvin. Yeah. And then initially most people would be like, well, we still lost. It's a little heartbreaking, lost at the end, and then turn around. Well, guess what? Hope's coming here on Saturday. Yep. How do you keep your student athletes' mindsets still in the game where it's like, okay, you just had a loss. You still got to be ready to come back and give your all for this next game. It doesn't matter what happened on Wednesday. It's Saturday now.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good one. I think, every coach in America tries to find that answer, right? I don't care what sport it is, but I know the one thing I did, and I just talked about it a little bit, was I make sure that they see the good, what we did. Like I talked about, like, man, we checked off this box, this box, this box. We missed on this box a little bit, right? Like with the turnovers or whatever. But man, if we clean that up, you see the potential we have. Yeah. Like that's the number one thing I said. Like you see what happens when we do things right. Yeah. And you know what? If we correct that one little thing, we're going to give ourselves another chance. Because, I always say chance because you could do everything right, and now the other team just does one thing better than you that night, right? So I always say you're going to give yourself a chance, right?
Yeah.
And especially like after that Calvin one, and even like the Albion one up at Albion, right? Like they saw it. They saw like, gosh, dang, like we are so close. Now, close doesn't mean win, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it keeps them motivated because again, it's about the progress of the season. You know, from last year, the year before, to this year, to next year, and the year after. It is all about, do I see it, right? And they're seeing it game by game, day by day, right?
Yeah.
And just keeping that motivation by seeing the good in what you did with a few of the bad things you did or the few of the fixes you got to do, it keeps them going. Like it does. It keeps them going. And then you got to turn it into practice and motivating them, right? And just using that fire to go from day to day to day, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like I say after every loss, it's okay to be mad right now. It's okay to be frustrated right now. Like, but tomorrow you got to let it go and we got to learn, right? Like I want people to be frustrated after a loss to a certain level, to a certain level degree, right? Because it shows you care. It shows the level of committedness to this program. I don't even know if that's a word, committedness. Is that a word?
Maybe.
I don't know.
We'll see.
But it's my word. So. but that's what you got to do because it's a long season. It's a hard season. But if you get them to believe every single day and show up, you're going to make the most of it, right? You're going to do what you absolutely can to win, even after a great win, which we had some of those, especially like after Hanover and Adrian here at home, how we flipped that one. But then you'll have some of those hard ones, and it's that same level of competitive commitment level. So,
So as we look into this next year, obviously we've mentioned multiple times that you're recruiting every day except for Christmas.
every day.
Maybe.
Yep.
But what is the future of Belle's basketball looking like going into next year as well as for your incoming student athletes? What can we expect over the next couple of years?
I think it's growth, man. Like I tell every recruit on the phone, it is growth. Since before I got here, the day I got here till right now, today, like it is growth. And growth is a roller coaster at times, right? Like we've talked about, it's a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it stays level, but it's going up. It is going up. That's the number one thing I can honestly tell you. It's growth. And just the level of competitiveness and fire continues to grow as we move on. I think that's the number one thing I love telling the recruits. We're even doing things now to ramp up that cohesiveness on and off the floor. Like we're doing things now, like we had leadership last night and that was great. I think that's step one. But with the new faces coming in next year, they're ready to get after it. I know it for a fact. And I think those kids coming in will help continue that foundation, and like the twins now and the next year juniors and sophomores see what needs to be done, right? And I think they're going to do it, and when the people come in, they're going to jump right on board. And I love the growth and the potential of St. Mary's Belle's basketball because I think it is there. It just it takes time, and sometimes I want to crank that dial faster, but as long as I see progress, I can't be upset. Right, and I see it. Right, and there's things that I want to build upon myself because I am not perfect, and I tell our athletes that all the time. Like I am not perfect, but what you will get is progress, you'll get commitment, you'll get the energy level, and you will for sure get the passion. Like, there's no doubt in my mind about that. And sometimes my passion looks different on that floor, but you will always get that. And I don't care what anybody else says. Like that's the way I operate. You know, in a good way. In a good way, that's the way I want to operate. But the incoming freshmen, like I would tell them and every recruit, be ready. And that's for every college program. Probably says something like that. But be ready because it is a grind. It is a love for the sport here at St. Mary's, right? Along with the academics and the social life. But be ready because we are going to get better, right? And that's just like my motivation piece for the players now, for the ones next year, the ones I haven't contacted yet. Like it is the process, and it is the grind, and it is the commitment level that we are constantly building here at St. Mary's.
And when you guys go into a new season every fall, what are the goals that you're giving to your team? Because obviously, everybody's goal is to win.
No doubt.
No
That's
matter
the given.
what,
That's the given.
even if you, no matter what team you are, your goal is at the end of the year you want to be hoisting that national championship trophy. Again, doesn't matter who you are, but what are you putting in front of your girls that's like, this is what we can look at the end of the season. If we can meet these criteria, this is a successful season for us.
Yeah, I think so X's and O's wise, like I'll tell you, X's and O's wise, it is rebound the basketball, right? And that starts with on the defensive end, because I think our offense is really, really good parts. We have kids who can score. It is that defensive end where we either got to pick up on the rebounding, right? And I would say even the physicality level. Yeah. And there are flashes. There are flashes of doing it, but it's got to be more consistent, right? Yeah. Like I can rip off 5 games where it's like our physicality was about as good as anybody else. Yeah. Right? Or the rebounding, but then it's got to be consistent, right? I think what the number one thing going into next year, and we talked about last night, is like more accountability, right? And we worked on that last night. And I love what we have in place to do that with like accountability teams on each section. Won't go into all that, but that's what that is, right? And then definitely just the team bonding aspect. Like we do a bunch of team bonding, but we need to do more, honestly, right? And I think that's the number one thing, like especially not X's and O's wise, that we're going to get better at, right? Yeah. And we started that last night. I love the vision. I think the players really bought into just the accountability teams, right, of just the vision of we want. But going into the fall, it is those 2 things for sure, because I think if we do those 2 things, it's going to help with just the physicality, just another level of committed play, right? Like committed to the program, committed to St. Mary's, the academics. I think it's going to really ramp that up, right? And like it's, I think we do a good job now, don't get me wrong, but I think it can be better, right? So that's like the 2 things in the fall, definitely the accountability piece, right? And then just the team bonding aspect, even more than what we do now. I think that will help. But again, if you want to crunch X's and O's, defense, rebound the ball, because we can freaking score, right? Yeah. We can score the ball. Like we got kids who can shoot, we got kids who can pass, we got kids who play fast. But it's that end of the floor, right? Yeah. And we're going to do some things. Yeah. But next year, and even for the future, you're going to see a faster pace. Yeah. Right, you're going to see a faster pace of Belle's basketball. And we played faster this year than maybe even we did last year and so on. But there's another level of fast I want to get to. Like, I don't know if you watched, like, the High Point men's basketball and not Wisconsin. They played Arkansas. Yep. That point guard was so fast. And they may shoot shots faster than maybe what I have liked. Like, some of those were like, well, they have guys who can shoot like that. Yeah. But that level of pace, right? Just watching that, and I've watched, a bunch of games, but that's like that point guard and how they just sprinted up and down the floor the whole time. Yep. Like, there's times where we did that, but I want it to be that consistent all the time. So I want pace, because I think we have guards who could play with pace, and we have guards who want to play with that level of intensity, and I think we can do it. Yeah. So I don't know if I gave anything away right there for how Belle's basketball's going to look. Not that you can't just crunch the film anyway and see it, but yeah, no, it's exciting, man. I think as the more I get into St. Mary's Belle's basketball, the more the vision starts to come true. Yeah. Right. I think that's what's so exciting, and I think this school presents a really good opportunity with Notre Dame across the street and the academic programs even here that really excel, like those, the big 3 in my opinion, the nursing, engineering, and business here. And every other program is really good. I'm not saying not, but I think those 3 really stick out in a way that other schools maybe don't stick out in. But no, I think just everything St. Mary's encompasses allows for the opportunity, right? And you just got to take a hold of that opportunity and run with it, right? Because you've got to push that opportunity to be at its best. Yeah.
So Rob, thank you so much for joining us on Ringing the Bell. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to go to our Bell's Weekly Recap. Then we're going to come back and do some quick rapid-fire questions.
Okay, let's do it.
Welcome into your Bell's Weekly Recap. Starting off, Bell's Lacrosse continued their hot start to the season with back-to-back wins to close out non-conference play, 22-3 over Beloit and 13-7 over Stevens Point. Alyssa Grant led the team with 8 goals in the 2 games, while Catherine Kalinowski would set a program record with 8 assists in the win over Beloit. Kalinowski would also earn MIAA Offensive Player of the Week honors for her performances. Bell's tennis started MIAA play strong with 3 straight wins over Albion, Alma, and Olivet. The Bells outscored the 3 teams 20-1 in their 3 matches. Senior Emma Keeley would be named MIAA Athlete of the Week after starting conference play with 4 wins and outscoring her opponents 36-4 in the first 2 matches. Bell softball swept Goshen in their home doubleheader on Sunday, 13-5 in Game 1 and 6-2 in Game 2. Gia Chavone led the team offensively with 5 hits in the 2 games, including 3 extra base hits. Ashlyn Yo and Sam McKitka both shine in the circle with 2 complete games. Belle Stunt took home the first ever Mid-America Central Conference Championship this past weekend, dominating the competition. The Bells outscored their opponents 41-2 in their 3 matches, including a dominant 16-0 win over Buena Vista in the championship game. Bells golf returned to the links as they took on the Wash U Spring Invite this past weekend. The Bells would finish T6 as a team, while senior Amanda Melling led the team with a T11 finish after shooting 79-74. Lacrosse junior Catherine Kalinowski and the tennis duo of senior Emma Keeley and sophomore Shannon Duty were named Bells Athletes of the Week. Kalinowski led the team to 3 wins while setting a program record for assists in a game with 8. Keeley and Duty went 2-0 at number 1 doubles to open MIAA play and outscored their opponents 12-2. Bells Lacrosse kicks off MIAA play this week with back-to-back road games at Alma on Wednesday and at Albion on Saturday, before they return home on April 7th to host Adrian. Bells softball will also kick off MIAA play, hosting Kalamazoo on Saturday for a doubleheader, before they head to Grand Rapids, Michigan to take on Calvin on Tuesday. Bells tennis will continue MIAA play with a trip to Trine on Tuesday. And that was your Bells Weekly Recap.
All right, Rob, we're going to start with a rapid fire. Not too tough, just quick and easy. Okay, your first one is going to be, what is your favorite restaurant in town?
Favorite restaurant? I'll tell you, I love Manny's. Only because I'm a big sports guy, and they have the greatest TVs in there where I can sit. You know, Sam, my wife, she can watch her sport over there. I can watch my sport over there. We usually watch the same team, but sometimes I want to watch that one. She wants to watch that one.
It's not even about the food.
It's not. It's not.
the
It's completely
TVs.
about the TVs and how I can watch my sports. So that's a good one.
What is your favorite arena that you've gotten to be in? Whether it's Florida State, Trine.
I'll tell you what. Well, I'll tell you a couple things. One, I think it is Duquesne out in Pittsburgh when I was at the Final Four. Mid-major school, great arena, really cool environment. They had the biggest jumbotron on their sidewall I've ever seen. But I'll tell you what, the 2 that I really enjoyed, even when I was at Florida State, one was it was Notre Dame. And I am not saying that because I'm here. I have told people that even before I got here.
Yeah.
When I was at Florida State, Notre Dame was really good men's basketball. We were top 25 when I was there at Florida State, and it was one of the loudest places I have been a part of. And it helped because the student section was right next to us on the bench, and it was loud. I mean, it was packed. So I got to give credit. But then one of the cooler ones, obviously, was North Carolina and Duke.
Yeah.
Duke is so small and it's so loud, but they have that PA system about as loud as it can go. And I couldn't even hear the conversation in the huddle from coach to players. I couldn't hear it. I was just like, I have no idea what they're saying. And then North Carolina, same thing, 20+ thousand people, really loud. I always tell the story. I had this lady sitting behind me. Like, I'm sitting like this, and there's a lady sitting here, and the entire game, she's saying, defense, get the ball back. I mean, it was for the whole game. And I'll never forget that. But everything else was so cool about North Carolina. But I'll never forget that one lady. I don't know who she is. She'll probably never hear this. But, like, I'll never forget the entire game she was doing that. So those were a couple of good ones. But I got to give credit. Like, when Notre Dame fills that place up, it was so loud. And I was actually really impressed.
Yeah. I think with Notre Dame, what a lot of people don't realize is being in the stand, it's so different when you're down on the sideline and when you're on the court. I had the opportunity to go, when I was at Southern Indiana, to be on press row with them. Like, it's a different atmosphere. Especially past few years, like you saw, didn't matter who Notre Dame was playing. It didn't matter if it was conference, if it was non-conference, mid-major school. It was one of the loudest atmospheres that you were going to see that year.
No doubt. No, it's good. Like, I'll tell you, when they're good at basketball, it fills, man.
Yeah.
Like women's always does, right? And the men have it. Like, it's there. But I'm telling you, when it fills, it's one of the better ones for sure. So.
If you were an animal, or what is your spirit animal?
Otter.
What would you? Okay, so you and Farhad are the same.
The otter. I didn't. That's his. I didn't know that. Yeah, I tell everybody that all the time. I love otters, and that is weird. I don't know. Used to be a swimmer, still swim. So that's probably part of it, but Otter by far.
Yeah.
Right? And I tell everybody that. I'm always ready to answer that question. Lauren Guma asked me that question, and I answered it within the first few seconds, and she was not ready.
She was shocked.
She was not ready for me to answer it that fast. So I don't know if that makes it weird or not, but I don't know. I love otters, man.
I think it depends on how many times you've been asked the question. Some people are like, I got my answer ready.
Yeah, oh, I'm one of them. I'm absolutely one of them. So no, that's a good one.
What's your favorite coaching memory that you've been able to have so far?
So I'll give you a couple. One was the Final Four at Duquesne. I think that experience was so cool during my time at Trine. Not only that, but there's a couple things that I suggested, and it worked. Gave us a chance to come back. But that was by far one of the biggest ones, right?
Yeah.
And, just another one, just being at Florida State, right? Just seeing how that operates and whatnot. I think that was really cool. Meeting some big-time faces and just seeing how that operation works. But then here at home, especially, beating a couple teams between last year and this year that were net ranking really higher than us, and they finished their year really good, and we got those wins, especially like Franklin last year. Franklin was really good this year, and then Hanover too, right? I think both of those wins really kind of set the tone for how things are going to go, right? Like we can win here, we will win here, we will compete. Like, we will finish, right?
Yeah.
So I think just especially that Franklin one with being up a lot, and then, we kind of went down, and at the end we figured things out.
Yeah.
I remember getting on Julia Schutz just to, get down on the post, stop shooting jumpers, like, we're going to feed you, and we did that. She got an and one. And then Nicole Conley with the winner right there. That end play did not go as it was supposed to, but Julia Schutz made a great shot pass right to her, and Nicole stepped in and made it. That was a really good one. But then especially that Hanover one, again, being down by 19 with about 3 minutes left in the second, and then it took 3 minutes and we're tied at halftime. And then from there we just kept sailing. Yeah. Again, and it's just things like that where we see the progress, right? We see it. But no, those are by far some of the most favorite memories between here, previous school, Florida State. So
I think one of the best things about that Franklin game is if you watch the footage back, is after Nicole hits the shot, it's just you sprinting into
I know.
frame.
And it's so funny. I think about that, like the St. John's winner from this year and how cold-faced stoned he
Rick
was.
Pitino was
That's
just...
not me. I can't do that because I just my thing is I put so much effort and time and passion into this. Yeah. I need to expel it. I have to just go. Yeah. I let emotions ride. I do. As much time as we all as coaches put in it, for the ones who can do cold stone face, you've been doing it too long, right? Or a lot longer than I have. I love just sharing my energy and passion. But yeah, no, I ran out on that floor. It was good. I loved it. I loved it.
So we know game day traditions are a huge thing for athletes. Do you have anything that you do before games that you have to do it? Yeah,
not. I don't know if it's before games, but I don't know how many people know this. I know my wife knows. I know some of my buddies do too. But I actually don't wear dress socks.
Huh.
Now, when I wear joggers, I don't wear dress socks. But when I have a suit or a sports jacket and khaki pants or whatever, I wear black Nike socks. I do. It's something I've always done since high school. Yeah. And it's so just ridiculous. But my motto is, I'm always ready to play. It's just I've always said that. I wore black Nike socks on my wedding day. My wife did it. I bought black Nike socks for all my groomsmen. And we took a picture where we're all showing our black Nike socks. And I will never stop that tradition. My own mom tells me I need to wear dress socks. My wife tells me, my buddies tell me, and I refuse to do it. I'm not gonna. So that's the one tradition. If you see me with khakis, pullover, or a suit or a sports coat, I have black Nike socks on.
I think the matter that they're black is what.
Yeah, you can't tell. You can't tell. Yeah, they're not white. That'd be maybe a little bit ridiculous. But it's just always something I do. Yeah. I don't know. That's probably the one thing. Other than that, I don't know. There's nothing else. Yeah. So.
And you mentioned that with suits. We've seen you both on the road and here. Do you prefer coaching in suits or a quarter zip?
Well, everything since COVID is everybody's gone quarter zip, right? Yeah. I don't know. I go back and forth. I think, it doesn't really even depend on the game. I think it's just, what have I not worn in a hot minute? I think that's probably the biggest thing, right? Like senior day, definitely suit, right? Like
Yeah.
at least jacket, no doubt. Farther road games or games where it's like the second of a tournament.
Yeah.
Quarter zip. Like I don't know. Like I'm not packing 2 suits or like that's just crazy. But no, I just go back and forth on. Like I always ask my wife, as Sam, I ask her, what do you think I should wear? And then she'll say something, and then she'll be like, but you're not gonna wear it anyway, so why do I even say it? So I don't know. I don't know. I like to do both. It just really depends.
I know there's a big talk recently with the Kansas St. John's game where Bill Self
Yes,
is just
I
wearing
know
a
exactly
simple
what you're
quarter
talking about.
zip, and then
Yep.
Rick Pitino's on the other side in Armani
Armani
suit.
suit.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, you got two different ends of the spectrum, but it's
Yeah.
also two guys who have been
Doing it for
the
a long
most
time, man.
successful coaches in their
By
sport.
far. Yeah, no, it's that I did see that same thing. I don't know. It just I think Rick Pitino might be one of those guys where it's just like this is my way, this is
Yeah.
the standard I have, and Bill Self's like this is my standard too. But you know what? Like what I wear maybe doesn't portray how we're gonna
Yeah.
play, right? I don't know. There's different mindsets to that, but everybody kind of goes back and forth.
As a coach, at the end of the game, do you prefer a big three-pointer or a big defensive stop?
To win?
End of a game,
Yeah, like man.
whether it's to win or to put you up by an extra possession.
I'll tell you, yeah. The defensive mind wants me to say get a stop. If the stop was us doing it perfectly right, where it's not like one of those where they shot it and just missed, right?
Yeah.
Like if we got the steal, we iced the side ball screen, we hedged it, we rotated right, we X'd out right on the weak side, we did a great scramble drill, absolutely get the stop, right? But having the ball in my hands, knowing we can draw something up and now we hit it, feels pretty good too. Because, like I said, if we did everything right on the defensive end, we cause a steal, a really bad shot clock violation, I'll
Yeah.
take that all day. Right, but if it's one of those defensive plays where they just get the shot off and they just kind of missed, that's we didn't fully control our own fate. So, but on offense, hitting the game-winning three,
They're both great.
they're both great. I don't know. I think the three-pointer would be, man, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
To hit a three, because I know I can control that, right?
Yeah.
Even if you kind of have to awkwardly get the shot off, like you're shooting
Yeah.
it, right?
You can get the ball in the hands of the
I
person
do love,
you want.
I do love defense. If we cause a great, I'd probably lean defense if I know we're gonna do those things.
Yeah, if you know it's gonna
I'm
be-
gonna lean that way, 65%, 35%
Yeah.
on offense.
Yeah. Our last one, obviously, those who know you got to go to Thailand for your honeymoon.
Yep.
What outside of that, what would be your next dream vacation spot?
Man, I've always wanted to go to England. I actually at Thailand, we actually made great friends with people from England. It was really cool, and they said anytime you come over, let us know. You got a place to stay. They were so great. It actually I met them with the parents had a daughter who was like middle school, and she was swimming, and so me being a former swimmer, I was like, hey. Just kind of teaching how to swim a little bit.
Yeah.
She thought about doing competitive swimming, and that just started the conversation there. But I've always wanted to go to England. I'd love to go back to Germany. I think those were so cool, especially with Switzerland right there in the Czech Republic
Yes.
and the brick roadways with the huge cathedrals. I thought those were amazing. And then for different reasons, I'd go back to Haiti. I've done a couple missions trips there.
Yeah.
Always wanted to go back. It's probably been 10 to 15 years since I've done that. And for different reasons, I would go back there in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, Rob, as we finish up this week's episode of Ringing the Bell, before we head out, is there anything that you want to add for your current student athletes, prospective student athletes? I know you guys have an ID camp coming up in July.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add about that?
Yeah, no, the ID camp, just to get a case to show what they can do and how I coach and whatnot. But no, other than that, for the current athletes here, the future athletes of Belle's Athletics, just be ready to work. Because when you do that, you will get the outcomes you want. If you don't work, you don't give yourself a chance. And we have coaches here who want to push athletes to be the best they can be.
Yeah.
And that includes academic, social, athletics, right? But you've got to balance that.
Yeah.
You have to. And you have to push yourself to be the best athlete you can be. You have 4 years here or X amount of years if you transfer in, whatever the case
Yeah.
is, right? And you have to make the most of it to give yourself a chance. And like I just told one of our athletes in a text this, I don't know, earlier or late last week, when you make yourself better, you make us better.
Yeah.
And I know when you're better, it's going to make everyone else, including myself, better.
Yeah.
Like you just have to. So you have to embrace making yourself the athlete you want to be, honestly, because you can do it here.
Yeah.
Like you have the time, you have the resources, you have the backing to do it, but you
Yeah.
got to want to do it.
Yeah, perfect. Well, Rob, as we wrap up this week's episode, once again, thank you so much for joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Ringing the Bell. Make sure you follow St. Mary's Athletics on all social media platforms so you can stay up to date with your bells. Have a great day, everyone.